Hey friends, Krista Moreland here with K More Macro. Okay, so how many of you love a challenge? If you love a challenge, I want to see some hearts fly across the screen. And you might be thinking to yourself, I hate challenges, and that's okay. If you hate challenges, then go ahead and give me that angry face flying across the screen. I want you to be honest. It's okay. Some people like challenges and some people don't, and that's totally fine. So today I posted about a game-changing habit that I decided to embark on last year, but I will tell you that it didn't come with a lot of anxiety and stress and frustration. So last year, this morning I posted about waking up early, okay? So, and one of the reasons why I decided that that was something that I needed to do was this. Last year, I felt like the worst mom ever. I don't know if you guys can relate to this, if you know what I'm talking about, but our mornings were dreadful. Like, I loathed going to bed and knowing that when I wake up in the morning, I have to get 3 kids up, fed, breakfast, lunches, and out the door to school on time. It was miserable. I was screaming, I was yelling, I ended most of my mornings crying. I was frustrated. My expectations of my kids, they were just not meeting them. And I had a little bit of a meltdown. Has anybody else had a parental meltdown? And I felt like the worst mom on the face of the planet. How can I be so angry and irritated and frustrated so early in the morning? And so I had been watching Jocko's videos for a little while, and the very first video that I watched was this of him saying, get your butt up early, get up at 4:30, attack the day before it attacks you. And I was like, that's not gonna happen. 4:30, you're crazy. Do you know what time I go to bed? I am not getting up at 4:30. And so it had been like 3 or 4 months that I had seen that video and thought about it, and I was like, that's not gonna happen. That's not a reality for me. I'm not gonna do it. It's just not something that's gonna do. If you can relate to that, throw some hearts across the screen, or let me know that you are with me and you know what I'm talking about. So then like 3 or 4 months after that, I started really getting into habits and why we make the decisions that we make in neuroscience, and how our brain fires and wires, and why it fires and wires, and why we have the beliefs that we have, and what shapes us as people, and what makes us willing to do this, track every morsel of food, but not willing to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. And so I came across a good friend of mine showed me and introduced me to Dr. Dispenza and his videos on YouTube. And so I've been following him for a little while now and listening to his TED Talks, and he's got a bunch of videos online. And I watched this one TED Talk of his that absolutely like blew my mind up. It blew my mind up. I was floored at what he was saying. And so I'm giving you the Krista Moreland version of it, but it's very sciencey, it's very intricate, it's very, very intense. I've actually watched the video probably 25 times, just because every time I watch it, I'm in awe of how incredible our bodies, our mind, our brains are. So it all comes down to habits, right? And when we repeat behavior over and over and over, we fire and wire neurons that connect, and then they eventually become our habits. Now, here was my habit. I would wake up, the kids had to be up at 6:30. I would wake up at 6:30 with them, and it wasn't enough time. And because I wasn't prepared, because I wasn't up before them, because I didn't have them set their clothes out the night before and pack their lunches the night before, our mornings were miserable. Like screaming and yelling and freaking out and flying off the handle because I was frustrated. Everyone else was crying because they didn't know why mom was being a crazy lady. And I called multiple friends, my mom, every single morning in tears because I could not get it together. I was failing. It was the worst feeling ever. I felt so desperate. So after I watched Dr. Dispenza's video, I knew something needed to change. But how the heck do you change that? 4:30 is early in the morning. I don't know if I can do that. And so Dr. Dispenza talks about, if you want change to happen, it has to happen in the mind. Well, the thought happens in your mind. And then you fire and wire these neurons so that eventually the I can't wake up connection of neurons that tells you don't do it, don't get up, it's too early. When you start to convince yourself that there are all these really good reasons why you should wake up in the morning, your kids will not feel as stressed out. You will not feel as stressed out. You won't be a crazy lady. You won't scream. The mornings could be enjoyable. Your kids will get to school on time and nobody will cry. There will be no tears. You won't feel anxiety. You will have peace. As you start convincing yourself of that, the I don't want to wake up early neurons start to separate, and the I do want to wake up early neurons start to fire, and you start to convince yourself. And then the next thing you have to do is you have to take action. So the next step was get your butt up at 4:30 in the morning. Set the alarm. Now I will tell you, the first few times I set the alarm for 4:30 in the morning, I didn't perk right up and like, yeah, it's 4:30 in the morning, let's go. No, I hit snooze and then slept until 6:30, and guess what? My kids were crying, I was frustrated, I was screaming and yelling, we were rushing out the door late, it didn't work. But I kept my alarm at 4:30, and every morning I tried to get up. Eventually I started to get up. Eventually I started to stop hitting snooze and deciding I want different for me and my kids in the morning. I want to enjoy them from the minute they wake up until the minute they go to school. So your neurons are firing and wiring, and then you kick in action, the actual getting up at 4:30, and what happens is those neurons seal each other. And once they have sealed, you have this goo that seals the connections together, and the goo, there's only so much goo in your neurons. I'm totally giving you the Krista Moreland version of this. There's only so much goo in your neurons. And so what happens is it takes the goo from the other neurons that you had that were not productive, that were old bad habits, and you physically change your mind. And when you change your mind, you physically change your habits. I cannot express to you guys how incredibly awesome waking up at 4:30 is now. I know it sounds crazy, but let me tell you, I get me time at 4:30 in the morning. I get business stuff done at 4:30 in the morning. Nobody's whining, crying, complaining, asking for milk, asking for the TV to be changed, asking to go ride their bike outside. So when my kids wake up, I've got my feet under me. You know, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock. And so when they wake up, it's good morning. How'd you sleep? Not, oh my gosh, get your lunch. Did you pack it? Why aren't you? Where are your clothes? Where are your socks? Where are your shoes? No way. It's like, hey, here's your shoes. Hey, here's your clothes. I got your lunch packed. Now, maybe you don't have kids that you have to get ready in the morning. Maybe that's not your situation. However, I will tell you, if you are on here, you are wanting to make healthier, better choices. And those healthier, better choices can be made at 4:30 in the morning. If you struggle with making the time for meal planning, guess what? You've now got time for meal planning. If you struggle with prepping or anything like that, you've got time for prepping right now. You can grocery shop online at 4:30 in the morning. You can get up and meditate and have some quiet time and center yourself to be able to take on the day, to decompress, and to make sure that that you are grounded and ready to rock. There is something to it, you guys. I'm telling you, it has been a game changer for me. So Desiree has hopped on really quick and she says, what do you do with your extra 2 hours? Girl, there are days where I'm like, what? That's it? They're waking up. I hear my daughter's alarm go off and I'm like, no, I'm in the middle of. So here's what I do. On Mondays and Thursdays, I wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I work on my business. You guys know I run an online nutrition business, and so I work on my clients. They get my undivided attention for 2 hours in the morning, and I knock out a lot of work when it comes to those clients. That's Monday and Thursday. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I don't get up at 4:30. I get up at 5 o'clock. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, I get up at 5 o'clock. So at 5 o'clock on those days, I wake up and the first thing that I do is my devotional, and I spend time in prayer and meditation. Because faith is a big deal to me, and if I want to be grounded in my faith and be a woman of God, then I've got to spend some time in His Word. Now, if you're not a religious person, you can spend that time centering yourself and having an attitude of gratitude. When you wake up and you have an attitude of gratitude for the day, I mean, you kick off your day solid. It's a solid way to start your day. Other things that I do is I meal plan. I get my calendar out and I decide, all right, what are we going to do for the next 2 or 3 weeks for food? I will pay bills. I will listen to music and kind of clean up the kitchen and pick up the house, things that didn't get done the night before. It's just an opportunity for you to do things uninterrupted, to do things that are going to take that stress and pressure and anxiety and frustration out and off of your plate so that you can engage in a calm and relaxed way when your kids do wake up, when the chaos wakes up. They are my chaos. I love them and I love chaos, so it's a good thing that I have them and I love them. But it allows me to get those things that are going to distract me in loving them out of the way. And then when they wake up, I am a much cooler, calmer version of what they need in the morning. I am telling you, it has absolutely changed everything about our mornings. As a matter of fact, this morning, and that's one of the reasons why I hopped on here, which it's such a timely thing. This morning when we were driving to school, my 9-year-old made a comment. She was like, "This morning went so good." I'm like, "It did, didn't it? For a Monday." Who says that on a Monday? We did. We said that on a Monday today. She was like, "That was so awesome." She's like, "Everyone was in the car. Nobody was crying. We were high-fiving each other after we did each other's hair." She's learning how to braid. As you can see, it's a little messy. But I did her hair. I did Emery's hair. She braided my ponytail. My son ate his yogurt and we were just hanging out. And as a matter of fact, he got ready so quickly, he had time to go ride his bike in the morning. And that kid wakes up wanting to ride his bike. And I didn't have to fight with him. "No, your shoes aren't on. Your lunch isn't packed. You can't go ride." "Yeah, sure. Go ride your bike for 20 minutes before we leave." So I just wanted to encourage you guys that habits are hard to change. And it's because it's a neurological thing. It's in our brains. It's a difficult thing to change because we chemically have to change it. But it starts with a thought. It starts with a decision to be different, to make a change. And then what really seals those neurons, that firing and wiring that we talked about a little bit earlier, is action. You have to take action. And here's the deal. I want you to understand this as well. It doesn't have to be perfect action. Mine wasn't perfect. I set my alarm for 2 weeks almost before I could actually get my butt out of bed and wake up at 4:30 and get these things done so that we could have a less stress morning. Okay, so we want to constantly fire and wire, and we want to take action. And the other thing is that habits take time. Okay, so have some grace with yourself. If it doesn't happen the first few times, or maybe you do well for 2 weeks and then you fall off the wagon, guess what? You fire and wire those habits that you want in your life so that the old habits that you have can dissipate and disappear. You want to create a new network of neurons in your head when it comes to relationships, nutrition, anything like that. You guys, you are so capable of doing it. I believe in you. It's totally possible. What I'm going to do after this video is right above this video, because it'll pop up above it, I will put the TED Talk that absolutely convinced me that Jocko was on to something with a 4:30 wake up call in the morning. I'll post that above. It's about a 17-minute video. I have watched it literally over and over and over, and it blows my mind every time I watch it. And I also watched the Jocko post that I put on your guys's, on the Facebook page, K More Macro today, because it's always a reminder of why I do what I do when I get up in the morning. Game changer. And I want the game to change for you in a way that feels good. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them below. I would love to answer them. If you agree and you want to start a new habit, I would love to hear about your 4:30 wake up call, and let me know if it's hard or if it's easy or how it's changed your mornings and your day. I would love to hear that from you guys. So I'll chat with y'all soon. Bye.